everyone. My name is Makeba Felix, and I am a fisheries biologist with the Department of Fisheries here in St. Lucia. And today I will be presenting a research project that we did in the department entitled Investigating the Effectiveness of 3 Different Growing Methods for Seamoss Farming in St. Lucia. So the outline for my presentation, I will be going through a background, the methodology, the results, and a brief discussion of what was done. So Seamoss or Irish moss is a common macroalgae found globally. Initially, Seamoss farming in St. Lucia was done with a Gracilleria species, a small red algae, which had a low carrageenan percentage. Eventually, the switch was made to Eucuma cottoni. This species had a higher carrageenan percentage and proved to be better for making drinks and jellies. Presently, the Seamoss is grown in sheltered bays and is tied to plastic ropes, which are attached to stakes or poles that are hammered into the seabed. However, during periods of extreme weather events or when a farm is abandoned, the poles become a hazard to marine animals and humans alike. In addition to the multiple environmental problems associated with Seamoss farming, St. Lucian farmers have been experiencing accelerated loss of product due to predial larceny and conflict with other coastal resource users. Moreover, conflict among recreational users, Seamoss farmers, and fishers has resulted in added pressure on other community members. And one of the main causes of this conflict was due to the blockage of the existing boat paths, as well as the problems faced by beach users since many farms encroached on the nearby beaches. As a result, the department started looking into alternative farming methods that would alleviate these problems and thus decided to look into the use of tube nets for Seamoss farming. This method could make deep sea farming possible, which in turn would reduce conflict. So for the methodology, the sites were chosen based on areas where Seamoss has been cultivated and other sites that could be used as potential farms. So 3 out of the 4 sites that were chosen, namely Moshi, Miko, and Savans Bay, are areas where Seamoss farming has occurred in the past. The size of the test plots at the different sites were chosen based on various factors, including manageability, available resources, and available sea space. The 2 methods that were considered for this experiment were the floating monoline method using the plastic lines, which could be seen in the photo on the left, and this is the traditional method that our farmers have been using. And the other one is the floating method using tubular nets. And for this experiment, we decided to use both plastic and biodegradable nets, and we compared the 2 of them. The nets were donated to the department by a Spanish company called Intermas, and these nets are typically used for mussel cultivation. So for the results, we were only able to get results for 3 out of the 4 farms, since many of the lines in Labrie were lost. So for the Miko farm, the plastic tube net yielded the best results, and the Seamoss hair grew darker than the other sites. The biodegradable tube net broke off due to wave action and increased sediment load in the tube net, so there was no final weight recorded for this method. Tube breakage was also common in the plastic tube net, which you could see in the photo indicated by the blue arrow. However, the plastic tube net was more durable than the biodegradable tube net. At the Moshi site, the growth of the Seamoss was slower at this site. After a period of intense rainfall, the bay where the farm was located was heavily silted, and the Seamoss appeared stringy with bleached tips. This could have been because the Seamoss plot was repeatedly exposed to fresh water from the nearby river. The increase in freshwater concentration disrupted the normal growth patterns of the Seamoss, which in turn may have resulted in smaller and irregularly shaped Seamoss. There have also been studies that have shown that Eucuma species are less tolerant to changing salinity levels and as such experience drastic changes in their growth patterns. The anchors were also cut multiple times during the period, causing the bleaching of plants. This high stress environment led to the death of many plants, thus impacting final weight. And lastly, the Savans Bay plot. The plastic tube net was the most successful method, with the final weight of the Seamoss measuring 14.47 kilograms compared to the initial of 3.46 kilograms. However, strong currents and wave conditions led to multiple tube net breakage and propagule loss. Nonetheless, the strong sea conditions assisted in the removal of sediments in the nets, allowing for quicker and better growth. In addition, the Seamoss grew lighter in color compared to the other two sites. And this may have been as a result of lower nutrient levels, specifically nitrogen, since the mouth of the river was further from the farm. The color change could also be associated to increased sunlight exposure, which was the case in Savannah Bay since there was little to no vegetative cover over the farm. So in conclusion, we realized that productivity was influenced by a number of factors. And the first one was the type of method used. So the tube nets were more effective in securing the propagule. This method would be useful if new species were to be introduced into the environment, since it would reduce loss and the chances of it becoming invasive or competitive. Although the tube net was effective, to remove the Seamoss, the farmer would have to cut the net, whereas with the monoline, the farmer would just have to untie. So with the tube net, we found that it was a higher operational cost for the farmers. The nutrient content in the waters, the varying nutrient content impacted the overall growth rate of the Seamoss. And we observed this with the Seamoss plot that was set up in Moshi. The presence of juvenile species also impacted the productivity rate. Although the Seamoss served as an effective nursery, the increase in juveniles impacted the growth rate since the juvenile lobsters, fish, and other marine animals ate the Seamoss. And lastly, human interference. We found that with frequent cleaning and maintenance of the lines and nets, the frequent maintenance of the lines assisted with the growth rates and the overall success of the farm, since the reduction in sediment buildup in the nets was reduced, which in return would reduce net breakage. So ultimately, although the tube nets allowed for the retention of the most propagules, the traditional monoline method proved to be the most effective method for the farmers. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, that was perfectly timed. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. There are actually 3 minutes and a few seconds for questions. So please go ahead and ask your questions.
No, absent any questions, I just wanted to congratulate Makeba on the work that has been presented here. It's very useful, I think, for other member countries that have been looking at the question of Seamoss cultivation. The potential in terms of impacts on livelihoods is also there. So I just wanted to, since there were no questions, to take the opportunity to congratulate you on a job well done.
Thank you, Peter.
Yes, I concur. Can you please go ahead, Leanne Bennett?
Hi, Makeba. How are you? Is everyone able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Hi. So I sort of missed the last part of the presentation where you said that a particular method was suitable for the growth of Seamoss. Tube nets. Okay. So were you able to look at the growth rate to see what it was like, especially with the tube netting? And two, did it impact the growth period? Because I believe from what I've read a little bit that growing can occur between 6 to 12 weeks. Did it shorten the time by any chance? What were your other views based on these research and the questions that I asked?
Yes, thank you for the question. So actually, this research occurred over 7 weeks, and we found that with the tube nets, the growth rate was faster in the beginning of the experiment. However, over time, since the area was so restricted and with the sediment buildup, the growth rate eventually declined faster than it would have in the monoline method. So although there was initially there was a faster growth rate, but over time it slowed down. But the amount of loss that we experienced with the monoline method, we did not experience it with the tube net since everything was just inside the net.
Okay, and did you have one last question? Did you have any issues with predation?
Well, for the plot in Miku, we found a lot of juveniles in the area, and we believe that may have affected the growth rate. So we found a lot of lobsters, particularly in the Seamoss, especially in the tube nets.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. We can entertain one more question by Rohan Smith, then we'll move on to Mia Avril and John Reed.
Hi, I'm Makeba and the team. Great work, guys. Seaweed culture is the future. The guys in Dar es Salaam and Tanzania will tell you about that. That's a big industry for the females also. I'm fundamentally involved in a lot of seaweed culture over this side of the hemisphere. And you said your culture was only for 7 weeks, but if you went on further, you want to start money. I want to say encourage you to try with more environmentally friendly approaches. The tie, try move from plastic and go for cotton or kaya or something like that, and also try to maybe move an offshore raft rather than stay closer to shore. And also your water will impact, yes, on your culture because they're very sensitive to salinity changes. And biofouling, if you go for longer than 8 weeks or 3 months, you cannot biofouling, those type of things. But the future is seaweed, water quality improvement, biodiversity restoration, lots of nature-based solution, and using nutrient credits and things of value from seaweed. So it's a future way to go. Well done.
Yes, thank you
Yeah,
for
so
that. Sorry. Actually, we
yes,
have been working with as part of the Coast Fish project, which is funded by the Japanese government. We have been looking at, I wouldn't say new, but maybe reintroducing some methods that have been started by the departments before. So right now we're looking at the raft method, like you said. And so far it has been favorable by some of the farmers, and it has assisted with reducing loss. For instance, after the passage of Tropical Storm Brett, the farmers were encouraged to sink their rafts, and they found that they did not have as much loss compared to the monoline method, the tie method.
yes, thank you very much for that very last tip. I see another hand raised from Executive Director Milton Horton. Please go ahead, Mr. Horton.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very brief. Really just wanted to commend St. Lucia for the excellent work that they are doing in growing the growing the seaweed. I was able to visit last year and saw some of the work on the ground and the tremendous progress that they have made. And, I see the fishers and fishing communities that are benefiting from the Seamoss cultivation, and it's really very, very, very encouraging and has application way beyond St. Lucia. So great work. Keep it up.